you doing? Welcome to TechHead 2000, your source for all things technology, gaming, and general sadness. I'm your host, Jack Halpin, and today, I have a problem. I just have too many game consoles, it's crazy. Take a look. As you can see on the floor in front of you, in front of my mini fridge, I have a manifestation of my inner self. A mess. Nintendos, PlayStations, Ataris, there's a Sega squeezed in there. Plenty of controllers, plenty of games. What are we gonna do with it all? It's all completely useless just spread across my floor like this. Now obviously a rational person's advice would be, well, sell some of those. You're never gonna use them all. Anyway, let me show you the star of today's video. The Parrington multi-use metal rolling cart. Notice its fine curvature, its sturdy build, and useful multi-use tray. Today, through the use of sheer engineering and gaming willpower, I'm gonna show you how to make a super duper gaming cart capable of playing VHS tapes, CDs, DVDs, Atari 2600 games, NES games, Super Nintendo games, Nintendo 64 games, Wii games, GameCube games, PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 3 games, and Sega Genesis games. Alright everybody, I've done some thinking and I've figured out the best way to get all of the consoles onto this cart. As you will see, there are 4 different levels. There's the bottom floor here, the middle floor right here, there's the magical tray that I was telling you guys about, and then there's the roof. Starting with the bottom floor, the first thing going in is the DVD/CD/VHS combo player. And on top of that, the Atari 2600. Gorgeous. 2 more consoles are going down here, and these 2 are famous for being able to be stood upright. The PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo Wii. Oh yeah! Smooth as butter. Moving on to the middle floor. The first thing that's going here is the Nintendo Entertainment System. And on top of that is going the Nintendo 64, one of my favorite consoles of all time. Oh no! Whenever I open up the cartridge door, it blocks the controller ports. What am I gonna do? Here's what you're gonna do. You got any of these super thin DVD cases lying around? Done. Problem solved. To the left of these 2 Nintendos goes a not Nintendo, Sega Genesis, 16-bit, high-definition graphics. Ooh. Slap that puppy right in there. And now my favorite part of all. This drawer was made for a PlayStation 3. Whoosh. Boom. And to top everything off, we will be placing the Super Nintendo and our television sets. And voila! You have the bare bones to the TechHead 2000 gaming cart. Give yourself a pat on the back. But the fun's just getting started. Now we get to plug in all of the cables. So much fun, am I right? You're now looking at the back of the TechHead 2000 gaming cart, and you might have noticed that this cart has built-in plugs. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. That's not enough, so we're gonna employ the use of outlet bars. In case you haven't seen those, they look like this, and they have lots of plugs on them. Our first outlet bar is going to be on this middle shelf right here. I'm going to insert the wire through this hole, run it around here, plug it into the main one, and there you go. The second one will be on the bottom shelf here. Just work the cable up through here and plug it in. The main one on the side. And there you go. You may notice that sometimes they have a habit of wanting to flip over. Just kind of twist it and play with it, and you're Gucci. You might have noticed that there are plenty of holes in the body of this cart. These are quite useful. They allow you to mount cables to them by the use of zip ties, which will be featured later in the video. We'll start by connecting the VCR's power up. There we go. Getting that all zip tied in. Next up, the Wii's power. Unfortunately, the block really has no place but to kind of just hang out somewhere. Don't forget your zip ties, dear. Ah, yes, splendid. Got the Atari's power right here, and a very homemade power adapter. Delightful. And the last thing we need to power up, of course, is the PlayStation. And you know what we do now. Delightful. Alright everybody, welcome to Phase 2. Please ignore how filthy this Genesis is. I'll get someone to take care of that. So, I have a little something to make this go a little easier. This is called an outlet tap. You plug it into one single plug and it creates 3 plugs. So we're gonna be putting that up here because this console and this console use big ol' fat AC adapters. And you'll see why in a second it makes sense to have this. First we have the Nintendo's adapter right here. It's very heavy. Bloop. And of course, zip tied for convenience. Next up we have the Sega's power adapter. There we go. Perfectly balanced. Bada bing, bada boom. Lastly, we have the Nintendo 64. This one's pretty easy. There we go. Now we're gonna have to power the PS3 hanging out on that little drawer thingy, and we have plenty of plugs down there to make that happen. Nice! We still need to power 2 more things, the Super Nintendo and the television. The television we can plug straight into the main one, and in case you're wondering what this is, that's for my light. Don't worry about it. Yeah, perfect. Yet another one of these unnecessarily massive power adapters. Ugh. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, we finally got all the power set up. Next up, AV cables. You may have noticed that we only have one single television. How are we gonna use multiple consoles on one television? 2 words, AV switchers. Both of these are AV switcher units that came from Radio Shack a very, very long time ago, and this is what we're going to use to switch between all the different AV sources. And keep in mind that the VCR has 2 inputs as well, so that adds an extra one. Also, the TV has a composite input as well as an RF input, so that adds another one, albeit only an RF signal, but the Atari only outputs RF, so I think we'll be fine. If you hear a shower going on in another room, sorry about that. Alright, I went ahead and put some tape down on these switchers and made some labels. We got the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64, and then this button is for this separate switcher, which has the VCR, which has the PlayStations plugged into it, and the Wii. Now you might have remembered we also have a Sega Genesis and an Atari 2600. Those are going to connect directly to the TV using their RF outputs. This one's output is going to go directly to my TV, and side note, we're going to use an adapter that I made that's going to turn the stereo channels down into one mono channel because I'm a poor little boy who can only afford a mono TV. NES goes here, Super Nintendo goes here, Nintendo 64 goes here, and this one we're going to plug the output of this one into, and then into this one we're plugging the VCR and the Wii. Okay, so we've taken care of all of the systems that use composite video output, but there are 2 more that we need to take care of, the Sega Genesis and the Atari 2600. For that, we're going to use one of these. This is an RF switch. It's designed to work like this. You plug your antenna in here so you can still get your TV stations, but you plug this into your Nintendo Entertainment System. Then you plug this into your TV, so that way you can watch TV and play Nintendo. We're going to be using it a little differently. Instead of an antenna, we're just going to plug the Atari directly into here. And instead of an NES, we're going to plug a Sega Genesis directly into here. And plug this into the TV. No, it looks ghetto. Don't it? Perfect. The TechHead 2000 gaming card is almost complete, but there's one more thing we gotta take care of. That's the controllers. And I got a little trick up my sleeve for those. For all of the wired controllers that I have, I'm gonna be tying these little loop knots. Then I'm gonna add a whole bunch of these little command hooks to the front of the cart for me to hang the controllers off of. Here's how it works. To play the NES, simply press the NES button on your switcher, and boom, there you are. I'm tired of this 1980s bullcrap. If you're ready for something a little newer, simply press the SNES button on your switcher, and boom, SNES time. Dang, I'm tired of this 2D bullcrap. If you want something even newer, simply press your Nintendo 64 button.
It's me, Mario!
And you're good to go.
Here we go!
Dude, Nintendo sucks. I want a hedgehog. If you want a hedgehog, then simply grab your remote control and change the input to RF. And you're good to go. Dang it! Sega sucks too! If you think that and Nintendo suck, well, no problem. Switch off your Sega Genesis and then turn on your Atari 2600! I miss Nintendo now. If you find yourself missing Nintendo, never fear. Simply turn your TV back to AV mode, then press the appropriate buttons to activate the Wii console. Hold on. I forgot to set up the sensor bar. There we go. I wonder if Sony makes game consoles. It turns out they do. To play your PlayStation, simply press the VCR button on your switcher system. Turn on your VCR using the same universal remote as the TV. Very efficient.
Sony Computer Entertainment America presents Naughty Dog.
Yep, this is Crash Bandicoot. This game's old. I want to play something newer. If you want to play something a little newer, then switch your VCR to the other input and boom! You're playing PS3, bro! On a TV from 1999. I've never played Little Big Planet before. Seems pretty adorable. I'm fixing to get real distracted. And that, my friends, is the TechHead 2000 gaming card with a VCR/DVD player and 8 game consoles. You can play basically any game imaginable. And it's totally portable, baby! I had a lot of fun building this, and if you do anything differently, be sure to let me know down in the comments. The TechHead 2000 gaming card is an ongoing passion project. Thank you so very much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of my very rare uploads. I upload just, like, not that much. And I stream Minecraft sometimes, if you're into that.
Oh my gosh, it's a pig. He's mine now.
Once again, thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.
TechHead 2000.